friends, this is Jazz, bringing you a new, well, it's not a new series, it's sort of an old series that I did last year or the year before. Also, I got a new scarf from BB Games, a Pokemon one. I really like it. But anyway, off that topic, remember when I did a Riverdale vlog? Now, I know where is season 2. It'll someday, I can't say anytime soon, but I am going to eventually get back into watching season 2, and maybe I'll do one on that. But I have to do this first. 13 reasons why. Well, might be more over the place than in Riverdale. Like, I've also started watching the first 4. I think I've watched the first 5 episodes of season 2. But this is about season 1 at the very beginning. Now, it's based on the book by J. Asher, I think. I'll put it above. But it's like an adaptation of the novel. Now, I might start listening to an audiobook version. I found one on YouTube. So, the thing is, for now, I cannot directly take notes from the book and how that was different, because I haven't heard or read the book yet. But I will just go on what my opinions are on it and my feelings on it as a message and how it was portrayed and that stuff. I remember first trying to watch it half a year ago. It was out for a little while, season 1, about a year anyway. And I know I watched the first 3 or 4 episodes of season 1 and I couldn't stand it. I'm like, the character... Okay, guys, I'm backing up just to give a warning to those watching it. If you have considered suicide or know someone who did, anything I say isn't meant to be offensive. Sometimes when I run my mouth, it comes out the wrong way. And I don't mean it in a hurtful way at all. Like, I know I'm not directly talking to whatever person who might be having problems, but I'm talking about the character in the show that is portrayed and who has killed herself. So, I don't mean to be offensive to any of those who have issues and want to take their life. Like, everyone has their reason, and to them, it's legitimate. Right? To them, they just couldn't take it. And I understand that. And that's not what my problem is. So, also, on the same note, if you are having problems, please reach out to someone. Whether it's a suicide hotline or a good friend or a therapist or anyone that can help. Because it is a serious matter and it is a temporary, it's a permanent problem. A permanent solution to a temporary problem. Now, I know there could be those out there who are in their 40s and want to end it all, or in their 30s, and it may not so much apply to them, but in the long run, there's always other ways. And I'm not saying like that in the moment when they feel that it's that they can't see that, and I understand. Now, I know I'm going on about this when I should be going on about the show, but this is also a good time that I should talk about this issue in a serious manner. Everyone does go through depression to a degree, and including myself, but I have never been in that boat. There were moments where I thought, like, I was afraid. Like there was a time where I literally thought my mood was changing and something was just going on in my brain. I just felt moody, felt mean for some reason, and there was no reason for it. It was the day after my 26th birthday. It scared me. Like, I know this is a different situation, but I felt something that truly did scare me for a while. And So even the simplest things to someone can be the end of the world for them. But the best thing you could do is to try to get help. And if this one person you felt you could trust doesn't listen, just keep trying. Just keep trying to find someone who will listen to what you have to say. Because that is what is important. Not everyone is going to listen. That is something else you should remember, that it is not on you. I'm also bringing this up for a reason, because it's going to take part later in this review. There's heavy spoilers for season 1, so I'm just going to warn you. The first thing I could say is I'm not so fond of Hannah Baker's character. That is the reason I gave you that warning, because she is the one who commits suicide. I know to her everything was over, but she did a lot wrong. Her character was superficial. Extremely. If someone is going to take their own life, 99% of the time, they will leave a suicide note. And the reason for that note is to try to give some closure to their family. It's not to get back on the people who caused their death, or the people who caused her to take her own life, their own lives. That is exactly what Hannah Baker did. She didn't do a note. She took the time to record 7 tapes, both sides, except for the one that had the 13th reason on it. There was a blank side on that tape for something that went on later, like far at the end of season 1. But she took the time to record every single person that she felt caused her to want to end it. Now, I'm not saying that people can't be cruel and be relentless bullies, but there were some people on that list, just on that tape, those tapes, that did not deserve it, despite what her view was. Like, there were maybe there was really only one person out of the 13, I'm saying 13 people who she thought caused her death. And I will get to him later, because he is a sorry excuse for a human being. Now, I know you guys will probably be thinking, well, isn't that very insensitive? I did give you the guys the warning. I'm not downplaying people who want to take their life. In fact, I feel like they have downplayed it, or made it a joke, in a way, right? Like, I mean, I know, like, it can be realistic, like, in some ways. Some people might do that. Like, there could be people who really feel they need justice. But that's not the majority, guys. That's why the character of Hannah Baker is so superficial. Because it isn't someone in a desperate state of mind would do. Like, she took that time. She literally said, okay, it's time for me to... Like, she... Literally, when you think about it, she recorded her whole 2 years almost worth of bullying that she was at the high school she was at. I think it was Charity or Liberty High. I forget buildings quite easily. She literally took the time to record every single person who bullied her. She could have made an audiobook out of it. Like, okay, this is a funny example because it is not about suicide, but it is about a sick individual. Any of you guys remember Elliot Rodger, the YouTuber who I don't even call a YouTuber because I don't know why, but no one wants to think of him. Elliot Rodger, who committed a mass murder actually, he did take his life, so guess that was sort of a murder-suicide type thing, but he took the time and he wrote his life story. Now, as sick as that is, I can understand him doing that. He is egotistical, right? And he was in a situation where he was going to get what his words were liberation, right? With Hannah Baker, she couldn't stand it anymore and wanted to end her life. Yet she took that time, her sweet old time, to plan everything out, all the reasons why she took her life, record it, give it to Tony, which is another character that's involved in this, then take her life. And you know what? The thing is, she really only asked for help once at the end of the series, just before she was about to do it. Just before. I know some people who are being bullied or have a hard life. It is difficult to talk about it, yes. But honestly, she was very close to her family, at least I think. Anyway, her parents knew nothing about what was going on. She put on a happy facade, and I know people will do that. I know my arguments aren't always valid to the 100th degree, but just the things that, if it was bothering her that bad, she should have found someone she trusted. Okay, yes, you could argue with everything that was going on in her life. Who could she trust? Her parents. Maybe not the counselor right away. Which, by the way, which was the one person she told? And will they say he was the 13th reason why? I know, I was going to get to that anyway. Which was stupid. There's, a lot wrong. As I said, I did, to a degree, enjoy the story. I understood it okay. But there was just parts of it that irked me. Like the fact for also the other main character, Clay Jensen. That's it, Clay Jensen. He kept getting harassed not to pass on the tapes and to listen to them. He was given the tapes, and the show was played. He was the interpreter, or the translator in a way. He was listening to the tapes. We were hearing what he heard. You guys get what I mean. Literally, ever since he got the tapes, the character changed according to his parents. He was getting stressed, he was getting beat up, he drank. It's hard to explain. But another thing I don't really care about is that how different he was in the flashbacks. He did everything to try to solve what happened to Hannah, to try to make things change. But in the flashbacks, you couldn't see such a clueless person in my life. He was there when one of the other reasons, Courtney Chisholm, her and Hannah had a bit of a kiss section. And so she spread a rumor that Hannah liked that and all that stuff. And when a guy went to harass Hannah because he heard this, Clay was just sitting there, not emotionless, he was confused, but nothing. I don't think he even went after her. He didn't go, hey, that's enough, that may not be true. Or, what are you talking about? Leave her alone. Or not even if he didn't say anything, run after Hannah and ask, okay, we'll do something about this. This is not right. No. The whole time, Clay was literally portrayed as just the silent stand around until she died. Then things changed so darn much. Now, it was mentioned in this series, this season, that Clay had something to do with her death, even though she did say to him when he finally got to his tape, "You're the only one who didn't deserve it." What? I'm sorry, but Clay, he did deserve to get a tape. He deserved it more than maybe there's one other person on this list that I honestly thought was stupid that she got a tape. Now I know I'm going out of order and saying spoilers, but it's just my opinion. How do I go about it? she has, 12 students, 1 faculty member that's on the list. Now, she has had things done to her, like in tape 1, a boy named Justin Foley, who she kissed, and he showed the picture to Bryce, forget his last name, but he is reason number 12? I don't know, but then he spread everything around. But the fact is that Justin showed Bryce that picture. That was supposed to be private, in a way. And everyone thought Hannah was the S word, right? And all that. She also had 2 best friends named Alex Standall and Jessica. Last name again, I don't remember. I know their first names. They were best friends for months. And then suddenly things changed. They stopped showing up, and then they started dating each other, and then Alex made this hot or not list that said Hannah had a great ass. So things got messed up completely. She got a slap from Jessica because she finally stood up to Jessica when she was pointing fingers at Hannah when she actually didn't do a thing, right? Hannah was oblivious that this was serious, and she wasn't taking it seriously how Jessica was feeling. But, we'll just say that there's a lot of things that happen to her. I'm going over them a little as it goes on. So things with them go on. She gets a Valentine's date with a boy named Marcus, or African American boy named Marcus. I'll show pictures as I can. And he fails to, and he shows up very late. Then he tries to make moves on her, which results in him, and she also finds out that it was a dare, so he also results in him getting pushed and him getting his tape. After that, she meets a boy named Zach Dempsey, who was in the group, and he was nice to her and said what Marcus did was, terrible. And later, I think the next day or a few days later, Zach I don't think Zach tries to do what Marcus did necessarily, but he was genuinely trying to be nice and help. But there are times, I will admit, I know I shouldn't be saying she asked for it, but there are times where she could have handled things better. Things could have worked better. She literally threw Zach off and said no and freaked out at him. He didn't go in for a kiss. He didn't touch her leg. Nothing. He was just implying that he wished that she was his Valentine, right? That he liked her. And the way I'm not good at telling intentions so much, but he didn't seem like he was trying to take advantage of her. But I will admit, his reaction to the rejection was prickish, right? Or, you know what I mean. He would steal, she had a communications class where they would have a compliment bag, where that's what she needed. She liked to get compliments, it brightened her day. And she used to get this picture or something, I think of a rabbit or something, but they kept starting to vanish. Then she planted something, because she figured Zach was doing it, and he was stealing them all, and she tried to open her heart to him, what she needs them, and how she's been struggling. And literally, what she saw was Zach crumble it up and throw it down. So, I will admit, Hannah went overboard with how she reacted to Zach. But it does turn out later that Zach says that Hannah, it was different than what Hannah said. That it even showed that he had the letter. So I don't know what she saw, whether he did crumble something up, but she didn't see what it was. She assumed it was that, or what. I don't know. People have accused Hannah of lying, not about everything, but twisting how the story was, for the most part. And I did forget to go out. I did go out of order a little bit, in a way. There was a Tyler Down who stalked her and took pictures of her and Courtney Chisholm. That's how those pictures got around, in a way. And as soon as Hannah confronted Tyler and said he would never hang out with him and acted as if he was a creep, that's when the photos went around. And that and what happened with Zach are reasons too why I'm like, okay, she did bring some of it on herself. Like, I know this is a mean thing to say, but I'm sure some people are thinking that. Tyler, like, is sort of a creep, yes, but she should have thought that he could have had a spare, right? And he should have at least been nice to him until she left. Long enough for, well, you know what? She didn't know he had anything there, so, but still, you always have to be careful. If they have something on you, you have to be careful on that. Like, I'm trying to think of the rest of them there. There's 13 of them. I'm really trying to think. There was Zach, Marcus, Justin, Alex. A lot of them were guys. One guy there, Ryan Schaefer, he was gay. Or he is gay. And she joined a poetry club at the library. And she confided in him. He was helping her write poems, and this was supposed to be a closed group. So she wrote a poem about her feelings and how she wants to end it, and she's in deep pain, and reads it to the group. Somehow, that poem gets out in the school newspaper, or in the newspaper that's released in the school. And Hannah knows it's Ryan. Like, Ryan tries to ask Hannah, do I have permission? There's people who really go through this stuff, and it'd be good for them to hear. She says, no, this is my own personal, and that I do not blame her for. Now, I know I said she brought some of it on herself. This time, no. She had the right to keep it personal. She was suffering. And everyone, he did submit it anonymously, but she knew it was hers, and if people found out, like, there is a difference, though. I did read in the book. In the TV show, they actually think it's nice. There's some people who are jerks, but it's taken quite well, the poem. In the novel, on the other hand, she's criticized for it. So there's a bit of difference of outcome, or, how the other people feel about it, and whether it's worse or not. But it was her right to have it private if she wanted to. And I'm sure she thought that it would help people, but it was too painful for her to share to anyone else. And who else? Sherry. Now, this is the other person who I thought over Clay Jensen did not quite deserve what she got. The worst thing Sherry did was she was driving Hannah home from a party she was at. Hannah was all upset, and I will go on to reason of that later, though. And they hit a stop sign when Sherry was trying to reach a cell phone charger. Now, Hannah says they should report this. Sherry is afraid that she'll get in trouble, and she literally drives away without Hannah. After a while, after her refusing not to go and said she was going to stay there. And, you think, it's a stop sign's knocked out. Well, guys, think about it. What would happen if there was no stop sign there and you just kept driving through and another car drove through? Yes, an accident happened that same night, which they lost it's a minor character. His name was Jeff, but he was one of Clay's friends, and he was on a beer route, or a drink route. But I don't know whether it was drink or pop or actual alcohol, but he was on his way at that same time. And Hannah went to report the stop sign herself, but it was already reported. So the time it took her to get to, her cell phone wasn't working. That's the reason she needed a charger. The time it took her to get to the convenience store, the accident happened. So she felt responsible for what happened to Jeff, and Sherry did not confess. Like, he abandoned her there. And, okay, you're thinking, well, that is shitty. Yes, it is. But she wasn't doing it to hurt Hannah. And she was afraid. Like, her mind was not clear when she made that decision. So, I could easily forgive Sherry for that. Obviously. Now, you're probably wondering, the interesting thing about Courtney Crimson is that she was worried about being gay, actually, right? And she was, though. And she has 2 fathers. So, I don't know what it was that she was afraid of, or she just didn't want to be connected, saying, oh, I have 2 great gay dads, so I'm gay, right? Like, she didn't want that connection, I don't think. But we'll say one of the last ones on here besides Bryce is Clay. And, okay, there are things like that could have been different, right? He wasn't literally mean to her, but he was clueless. There was a scenario where she was asking Clay to leave because she was going through a moment, right, when they were going to have sex, but she went through a lot, right? She doesn't like that type of stuff. She told him to stop and to just leave. She was already upset or something. And then she just said the F word and to go. So he did. He complied. And what she said on the tape was, part of me wanted you to stay. So I will admit, it is partially Hannah's fault there too, but Clay should have knew how upset she was and said, no, I don't care if you turn your back on me or whatever, or I'm not going until you tell me what's wrong. Right? Like, that should have happened. And Clay realized that later after she died. Like, it just showed that one scenario where he was trying to be a polite guy and he just didn't think. He just left. And they even had a flashback where he did everything right, and she said, well, why didn't you say this when I was alive, or do this when I was alive, or whatever. And the big person, Bryce. Well, going back to Justin for a second, he actually has a second tape. Or Justin has a second tape. One, because what he did to Hannah that first time with that picture, and 2, he was connected with what happened with Bryce. 2 things happened with Bryce too, in a way, but he only got one tape that connected it all. Well, actually, he had 2 sides, just one wasn't recorded by Hannah. I said there was a blank side, so you'll see in a minute. But Bryce was notorious for having sex with girls and doing it really without their consent, in other words, rape. And while Jessica was drunk, which Justin and Jessica were dating, and Hannah still did sort of feel for her, right? Even though with what happened, she was trying to be friends with her, and she still cared about her. And when Justin left the room, Bryce came in, and you know what I mean. Justin tried to get him off, but he was thrown out. What was so bad is Justin lied about what happened. Like, she was so out of it, she didn't even remember it happening. So, for not really he tried, but for not really still trying to do something about it, he got a second tape. Because she let Jessica down. And what he's doing was illegal. She couldn't give any consent with her condition. He should have been sensitive to that. But he wasn't. And the last reason Bryce was mentioned on the tape was that he did it with Hannah. He raped her in a hot tub. Now, the funny thing is, it was not funny, that's not what I mean. Or the weird thing, that's better, is that the whole time she was just out of it. She never drank like, as much as Jessica, but she was numb. And sometimes it happens to women. She couldn't say no or anything, right? She was just there while it was happening. Now, Mr. Porter, the counselor, remember how I brought up about talking to a trusted person, and if one person doesn't do a thing, go to someone else? This is the reason, this is also the reason why he's on the tape, which is debatable whether he deserves it or not. But Hannah, just as she made the tape, most of the tapes, 12 of her tapes, she goes saying, maybe I'll give, after she recorded a maybe I'll give life another try. She goes to report and say everything to Mr. Porter, saying she needs help, she's depressed. Now, I can debate whether he deserved the tape, because Hannah wasn't helping very much. He asked, well, who did this? Who, Hannah? I can't do anything if you aren't going to tell. You can't press charges. And the one thing he did was stupid, was saying two things that he did that was stupid was, one, saying, well, then you just have to move on. And two, when she decided to leave, he didn't try to go after her. She was waiting to see if he would go out saying, wait, we can do something, or at least wait. That showed that he cared. Soon as he didn't follow her out, she said, no, that is your tape, or your 13th tape. And after that, you know what happens. Now, I will admit how Mr. Porter handled it was not very professional, but at the same token, if Hannah wanted this to stop, she should have said something about Bryce. Should have. Because even he said, if you tell me, we can make it stop. Yes, I know Bryce wasn't the only reason, because there's 13 reasons why, but he was the worst of it. And that was the most painful thing that happened to her. The worst part that happened to her, and she wouldn't say a thing. And, like, I know I seem speechless, right? But I am. Like, the way they portrayed this whole thing, I did not like. A lot of people did not like. I mean, like, how do I explain it? The fighting should have went on with the mother. But then again, I mean, I suppose that she made these tapes, her mother was able to hear them in the end, and no. But it's still, a lot of other things that happened to Hannah seemed superficial. She was in high school. And I know in high school, high schoolers think about their now. I understand. I did. But the thing is, it's only then, right? It's not forever. And there are people older who have serious issues that won't go away without extreme help that they may not be able to get. So showing this situation where, like, the reasons should have been more compelling. Like, the rape reason, the not getting help when that happened, I can understand. There was, like, someone stalking you, that's illegal as well. Like, there's really only 2 or 3 reasons I could thought were actually legitimate. Yes, I may have blamed Clay, but it still wasn't a reason that should have, like, it's more of a reason than some of them, but it's, we'll just say, in a way, the actors were good. Like, the actors were fine, right? It was just the characters that I wasn't so fond of. I mean, it wasn't just Hannah that sort of bugged me either. There were some characters and some behaviors that just kind of really bugged me. Clay's mother, for one. I know a parent should be concerned about their child, that's great, but, like, how do I put this? Just because he was a little abnormal, she was like, keep your door open, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I know, again, some people will say, don't be so insensitive about that. Some parents would hate to walk in and see something happen, and that she was just being proactive on it. Yes, and I will also admit that Clay should have been more honest. Yes, like, I honestly didn't care much for Clay. Like, before Hannah died, or in the flashbacks, he was portrayed as way too inactive. He would talk to her, and the only other reason that caused her death by him was that he invited her to the worst party of her life, worst experience of her life, and he left, no matter, like, despite knowing something was wrong. But he was really inactive. Sorry, yeah, my back is itchy. And afterwards, he's just too in on himself. Like, I know there was a rule and all that, but sometimes there's rules that are meant to be broken. If it's something worth of concern, he should have went to his parents to know, saying, okay, I knew Hannah, I was really close to her. Apparently, as I said, it didn't always look it. I was very close to her. I was given these tapes that explain why she died, and they're really getting to me. I need help. His mother was a lawyer, for God's sake. I mean, she could have done something about it. I mean, in the end, Tony, his friend who was handing out the tapes and following him to make sure he listened to them and everything, he even eventually, in the end, when he heard about what Bryce did, was, we were hiding evidence and stuff, right? Like, they were. That could have been listened to by, like, he could have given it to his parents, or the Bakers, Hannah's parents. It would be nice, for they had a chance to listen to it. They did in the end, which was good. Tony made a copy for them just to listen to. Like, I know, like, I mean, I probably wouldn't have handed it right to the police right away, but I would have let the parents know what was going on. Because Clay was literally, there was a whole bunch happening to him. Like, he literally keyed Zach's car because he was angry about Zach, like, rejecting Hannah. Well, not, she rejected him, but, you know, doing that to Hannah. And honestly, Zach was, out of all of them, was my favorite of them for some reason. Like, his character, like, I think for him, Bryce did a lot for him, his family, and when he's not with them, he's a perfectly nice guy, and the sensitive one, who doesn't actually have real friends, I don't think, either. Like, I would say I've been watching season 2, and he's portrayed a bit different than he was. He seems more of a main character. Oh, right. Again, that's another spoiler. Alex Standoff shoots himself. Yes, he, I think, was legitimately one of the first ones to feel guilty about what happened to Hannah. For him doing the list, for him and Jessica getting the way they did, everything. Now, does he die? We'll just say spoilers. I'll give you one spoiler for season 2. No. He does not, but he has gone through a lot of damage, I think including brain damage, but not to the point in where he is completely mentally handicapped, in a way. They thought he would never talk or walk again, but he does manage to survive through that, but his memory of the tapes gone, like, at that point. And so, in other words, another suicide drive in the whole thing now. I will give credit there. He tried to take his life because he felt extremely guilty. And that is legitimate. I mean, people say, oh, there's no legitimate reason. But we'll just say he had a better reason than Hannah did. It was the one reason he had. Now, if it was more focused on Alex in that situation, I would have liked it better, honestly. And I'm still going to finish season 2 because I'm interested where it goes, because they're doing a different take on it. they're focusing on the trial a lot with Hannah, and we'll just say now, instead of tapes, there's Polaroids going around, which I should talk about my predictions while I am at it. Maybe I've already finished it by the time this is published, maybe not, but my prediction, one big prediction. At the end of season 1, it showed Tyler, who's the one who took the photos and was the creep and stalker, having pictures of different people. And he actually removed Alex's picture. And during that whole thing, he also showed him storing guns. So, what is my prediction? I know I've already watched part of season 2, and it showed there were some reasons for the guns that he had, but that's just one moment, right? So you can't really judge. My prediction is that somehow, and I probably am going to be wrong, and I'd be happy if I was, that Tyler's going to do some sort of school shooting, or at least a shooting of those 12 people, maybe minus maybe even Mr. Porter, right? Because he had all these pictures, and he removed, I don't know whether, I think it was Alex who shot himself, but I'll just say in season 2 it shows that they get along better. So, perhaps he's off the hit list, or whatever, because what happened to him, I don't know. But the thing is, Tyler was relentlessly bullied as well by a lot of these people, that were, especially after what happened to Hannah. Anytime he tried to get on the group, because he was on the tapes, they would say, "Go away, freak." And he is a freak. Creep, you know what I mean? But they wouldn't let him in on the circle. They were extremely mean to him. So, with a fragile state like that, I wouldn't doubt he might do a school shooting. And well, then again, the whole school is crappy, so he might do it. Like, at first I was thinking maybe he might target the 12 students, plus Mr. Porter. But when you think about it, the whole school in his mind was shitty. So he might actually do a full school shooting. Now, if that's wrong, I'm actually happy about it. But it looks like it might go that way, or that eventually Tyler might take his life, like Alex tried to. I think a lot of it's going to focus on Tyler being the one that's sending these photos. Saying he said, Hannah's not the only one, was one of the things it said. So, I am fascinated where this is going to go. I didn't care for season 1 much, but it didn't ruin it to the point where I don't want to see how season 2 ends. I don't know why still I'm not going on to Riverdale, but anyway, this was a long video. I apologize. What do you guys think of 13 Reasons Why? Like, we'll just say, before I go, in the beginning of season 2, it showed a clip. It showed a clip of 3 of the actors in the show. One who played Clay, one who played Hannah, and one who played Bryce, ironically, talking about what to do if you feel suicidal. So they did seriously go, and every episode they did show the website, well, 13reasonswhy.org. Well, let's hope that's serious. Let's hope that the website takes it more seriously than the show, is all I'm saying. But I'll admit they have brought attention to the situation, but again, let me know down below how you feel about it, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel and you like what you see, please subscribe. It would help a whole lot, and don't forget to hit the bell notification to see when new videos are coming out, and I will see you guys in my next video.